All right, welcome to this week's REI Deal Breakdown. And today I'm going to talk about 317 Madison Street. So, this is a wholesale deal that we did maybe at the beginning of the year. This one stood out though. There's a lot of lessons we learned on this one, so I figured I'd share it on this video. So, if you want to learn how we did this deal and the kind of money we made, you are in the right place. So, before I get started, if you're not familiar with me, my name is Greg Helbeck. I'm a millionaire real estate investor. I've been doing this business for 8 years. And the intention behind these videos is to share what I have learned throughout the years with you watching this so you can take away some stuff and ultimately start your business or grow your business. So 317 Madison Street, Delaware City, Delaware. The way that we found this deal was actually text message marketing. So we were texting a list of sellers. I think the one that this seller was on was the tax delinquent list, so they hadn't paid their property taxes for a while. They responded to a text, and then Anna on my team pushed it into the system. And Lindsay and Brett started, or not, I don't think Lindsay was us at the time. She wasn't with us at the time. So I think Brett got involved with her. Started talking to the seller, and long story short, she was living there for a while. Her husband passed away. She was, I think, a little bit elderly, the seller. And the house was apparently in really bad shape, but actually turns out it wasn't the case. It was a lot worse than, she thought it was worse than it really was. So she reached out. She's like, my house is a quote unquote hoarder house, and I want to sell it. I want to move to Texas, and yada, yada, yada. So, we were trying to figure out how we can best help her and how she can benefit from a cash offer, etc. So she was a tough seller because it wasn't a laydown and she wasn't willing to do business right away. She really actually was relatively hard to get on the phone after some time, and we were following up with her persistently. We knew that this was a good lead, so we didn't want to just kind of throw it away. So we kept her in our database. We marked her as a top 20 prospect, which is basically just we have 20 people in our database at all times that are a priority that we need to follow up with on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Stayed in touch with her, and Brett was working on the seller, and I was like, I want to kind of get involved with this one too because this could be a pretty good deal. So I actually sent her a text message, I believe, on my personal cell phone, and I was like, hey, are you against having Brett come out to look at the house and make you an offer? And I sent her a text, and she said, no, I'm not against that. And then we couldn't get her on an appointment, so kept following up with her, ended up getting her on the phone at another time. And, we had a loose conversation, and basically it resulted in an appointment. And before we, I think, went on the appointment, she said she wanted $125,000 for the property. And by the way, this thing's worth in the threes fixed up. And we were assuming that this property was going to be like a bombshell, and we were kind of expecting the worst and hoping for the best. And that's exactly what happened. Brett ended up going on the appointment and building some serious rapport with this lady. He really connected with her. He really, as Stephen Covey says, he really was seeking to understand her and really hear her out and figure out exactly how we can solve her problems. And her main thing was she wanted to get out of this house as is and move to Texas and not have to deal with Delaware anymore in the cold winters and whatnot. So Brett ended up going there. He locked the property up for $125,000. We thought this thing was going to be easy peasy Japanesey. Turns out after we got the property in contract, she was a little reluctant. Sister was kind of getting in her ear saying, you might have sold this thing too cheap and yada, 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 even though this was her original asking price. So he ended up talking her off the ledge, and honestly, given what she wanted and all the kind of benefits she wanted us to bring to her, I think it was actually a fair price considering we closed this thing relatively quickly. So anyway, long story short, we ended up finding a buyer, and we wholesaled the house for $38,000, I believe. Yeah, I put it out to the email list, and I sold it sight unseen within a day for a $38,000 assignment fee, which is a great assignment fee anywhere you are, especially in Delaware. I mean, that's a really good assignment fee. And we got everything in escrow. We got the buyers all lined up. We got the whole kind of thing rocking and rolling. And something that we offered the seller that she really appreciated was we actually rented a moving truck for her, and we paid for it. And she took that truck down to Texas, I believe, with her daughter. So we actually threw that benefit in there so she could stand out. I don't think there was any really competition on the deal, at least this one. There usually is. And, we added a lot of value to her situation by literally just renting a moving truck. And she got the moving truck, moved out. She actually, we closed, and then she stayed there for like a week, and then she ended up moving down to Texas. So that was the deal. $38,000 wholesale deal from text message marketing. We used launch control, and it was a tax delinquent list. And it was a great property. It was a win-win-win for everybody, the seller, myself, and the buyer. Everyone did very well on it financially. Everyone walked away with some cash. And the buyer ended up fixing and flipping the house and sold it. And what are some lessons I can kind of share with you on this video that you can take away? And the first lesson is that when you have a good lead and they're not like selling right away, you got to follow up with them like crazy. You got to prioritize that lead. You got to make sure you're staying in touch with them, preferably every 2 weeks, if not every week. So when they're ready to sell, not if, but when they're ready to sell, you're there at the right place at the right time. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two is when you have a really good deal, it is going to sell fast, fast, fast. I put this property out with, I think it was a $38,000 markup, and we sold it, bam, sight unseen right away, easy peasy lemon squeezy. It was very easy to sell this property. So when you have a good deal, I'm telling you right now, the buyers will show up, assuming you actually have a buyer's list, which is not hard to do anywhere. It takes, a week max to build a decent buyer's list up. Anyway, that's the second lesson. And here's the third lesson, which is an interesting one. We made 38 grand wholesaling it. And I will tell you, our rehabbing system in Delaware is certainly not where it is in New York. We have a much better system in New York for rehabbing properties with contractors and realtors and everything like that. However, looking back on this deal, we should have fixed and flipped this house. We should have bought the house for $125, probably would have thrown about $75 into it max, and we could have turned this property around and sold it for, I think it ended up selling for $300 grand or something like that. So we could have made a lot more money rehabbing this house, and it probably wouldn't have taken that much longer, maybe another 2-3 months longer, and we would have been able to double our profit, if not more, just by fixing and flipping the house. So this was a house that I think we definitely should have flipped, but listen, I'm not going to cry over spilt milk and complain about a $38,000 assignment fee in the matter of a month. So that's 317 Madison Street. Hope you got some value from this. If you did, and you're interested in doing deals with me, whether you're in Delaware, New York, or San Diego. If you're a wholesaler and you want to wholesale me a house, I love buying from wholesalers if the numbers make sense. Or if you're a wholesaler and you want to just JV with me and JV a wholesale deal in one of those areas, I'd be happy to do that. Reach out to me. You can do Instagram at Grego37, or you can do my email address, which is greg@velocityhousebuyers.com. That's greg@velocityhousebuyers.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.